Hello and welcome to another tech video on this channel. In this video, we are going to learn how to deploy a PHP web application using Jenkins pipeline and GitHub on Apache web server. Moving forward, we will see more complex deployments and pipelines in the coming videos. We are going to configure GitHub and Jenkins in such a way that as soon as there is a commit on the repository, a Jenkins pipeline will be triggered. I'll demonstrate the same at a later stage of the video. Once the code is committed, a pipeline will be triggered. The next stage would be downloading the source code on the local Jenkins machine. And finally, the downloaded source code would be shipped to Apache web server via SSH. So let me give you a quick walkthrough of what we have in our setup. We have a pre-configured Jenkins master EC2 instance and a PHP server with Apache and PHP packages already installed on the same. This is the Jenkins console. These are the pipelines used in my previous video. Under the GitHub repository, I have kept two sample PHP files, index.php and aboutus.php. The index.php file contains some HTML and PHP code, and we have similar contents for the aboutus.php. And finally, this is the default landing page for the Apache web server. Let's start implementing our pipelines. We will start with the Freestyle project and later on we will see the Jenkins fileway. So let's jump onto the Jenkins console. Go to Manage Jenkins. Click on Manage Plugins. Go to the Available tab. In the search box, type Publish. Choose the Publish over SSH plugin and click Install without restart. It is installing the required packages. Now we see a success message. Go to the dashboard. Manage Jenkins, Configure System. Scroll down to the very bottom of the page. Locate the Publish over SSH section. Under the key text box, paste the contents of the PHP web server SSH keys. Click Add SSH servers. Under the name text box, give a name of your choice. And for the host name, go to EC2 console and choose the PHP server. Copy the private IP address and paste it under the hostname text box. I'm adding the username as EC2 user and keeping the remote directory as root. Once done, let's quickly check the configuration using the test configuration button. We see a success message, that means the Jenkins server is able to connect to the PHP server. And finally, click on Save. Now go to your GitHub repository, go to Settings tab. On the left hand side, select Webhooks, add webhook. Under the payload URL, enter the Jenkins console URL and append GitHub-webhook at the end. I am keeping the content type as is, keeping the secret as blank for now. We only want to trigger the pipeline on the push event and click on Add Webhook. We see here that the webhook is created successfully. Now let's head on to the Jenkins console and start creating the project. Click on New Item. I'm entering the name as php-demo-freestyle. Select the Freestyle project and click on OK. Under the GitHub project, enter our GitHub project absolute URL. Under the source code management, choose Git, and for the repository URL, let's go to GitHub. Under code, copy the repository URL and paste here. We are not passing any credentials as it is a public repo. For branch specifier, let's check GitHub. We see here the branch name is main. Let's update that. Under the build trigger section, select GitHub hook trigger for Git SCM polling. Now go to the build section, click on add builds tab and choose send files or execute commands over SSH. The SSH server which we created previously is pre-populated. For the source file, copy the sample pattern, that is ****.jar. Replace jar with PHP since we have to deploy the PHP files. For remote directory, let's add the web server path. For Apache, it is /var/www/html. And finally hit save. Now all the configurations for our project are done. Let's test the setup. Go to GitHub and open index.html and let's try to make some changes in the file. I'm adding Freestyle project at the end. And let's commit. Let's quickly go to the Jenkins console. Here in the build queue section, we see our project getting triggered. Let's click on the build number. Here we see started by GitHub and pushed by my GitHub username. Let's check the console output and here we see a success message. Now let's go to the Apache server tab and hit refresh. And we see here that PHP files with new changes have been deployed successfully. Let me show in the Apache SSH console as well. Let's do a list and here we see both the PHP files. This way we have successfully implemented an automated PHP deployment using a Freestyle project. Now let's try with the other method as well using the declarative pipeline method. For that, let's go to the Jenkins console, click new item, enter the item name of your choice. I am punching in PHP demo pipeline. Select pipeline and press OK. Choose GitHub project, enter the project URL, copy the same from the GitHub portal. Keep all other options as unchecked. Under the build triggers section, choose GitHub hook trigger for GitSCM polling. In the pipeline section, choose the drop-down and select Hello World. We are now trying to build the Jenkins file to deploy the code via SSH publish plugin. Rename the stage to deploy PHP application. Click the pipeline syntax link. Under the samples tab, choose SSH publisher, send build artifacts over SSH. Under source file, add the pattern for PHP files. Enter the remote directory as /var/www/html and generate the pipeline script. Copy the script and replace with the echo command. Now copy the entire thing. Go to GitHub, add file, create a new file and paste the contents over here and name the file as Jenkins file. Before we commit, let's go to the dashboard of the Jenkins console. Go to the Freestyle project that we have just created, then configure and choose the disable this project option. I am doing this because when we try to commit the Jenkins file, this pipeline should not be triggered. And click on save. We see a message here that the project is currently disabled. Now let's commit the Jenkins file. Let's go back to the pipeline we were configuring. Select pipeline script from SCM. Copy the GitHub repo URL. Choose Git for SCM. Add the repository URL we just copied. I am changing the branch to main. Keeping script path as J Jenkins file and then hit save. Now let's validate our configuration by making some changes in the index file. I'm changing the text Freestyle project to declarative pipeline. Once done, commit the changes. Now let's go back to the Jenkins console. Somehow I am not able to see the build getting triggered automatically on push event. Let me try to build it manually to check whether it runs successfully or not. Let's click on the build number and see the console output. Here I can see that the build has executed successfully. Let's check the web server URL. I can see that the code has been updated with the text declarative pipeline. I don't know what happened when we tried to commit the changes. Let me try one more time. I'm adding an additional exclamation symbol in the code and then committing the changes. I can see the build is pending. Let's click on the build number and the console output. Here I can see that the build is showing a success message. I don't know whether it is a feature or a bug, but the trigger didn't work straight away. I had to manually run the build before it started working with every commit. Here we can see that the index.php file was updated and the build was started by GitHub push event. Let me check the first build. We see here that the build was started by the Jenkins user and not the GitHub push event. Finally, let's check whether the code has been updated on the web server. Here we can see 2 exclamation marks. That means the code is updated as required. This way, we have learned how to deploy PHP web application on Apache with both Freestyle as well as pipeline methods using a GitHub webhook. Thanks for watching till the end. I have planned an entire series on CICD pipelines, so please stay tuned. If you have any questions or any video request, please let me know in the comment section. Thanks once again and take care.